about today's speakers and their topic. But before I introduce them, here are some announcements from the EICC chair. Take it away, Yvette.
Hi everyone. So hope y'all have been having a good day or evening. I just wanted to let y'all know that there are open positions that are going to be opening in the Education Interclub Council for the next academic year, so 2021 to 2022. It's the positions of chair, vice chair, director of administration, director of event planning, and director of public relations. So if y'all are interested in those types of positions, here's the link. It shows all of the duties that each position has and also comes with a little stipend from ASI. So hope y'all click on the link and apply.
Awesome. Thank you, Yvette. So today we have Connie and Efren who will introduce themselves and the topic that they will be talking about. I do want to go over some ground rules. Please be mindful of any background noise, mute your microphones, and limit any distractions if possible. And with that, the floor is yours, Connie and Efren.
Thank you, Albin, and thank you to everyone at EICC. I'm going to share my screen to show you our slide deck for today. Can everybody see that? Give me a thumbs up. Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. We're going to be presenting Breaking the Virtual Ice, Strategies for Engaging Virtual Environments by me and my cohort mate, Efren. So we'll get started with some introductions. Can I ask you to go first, Efren?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much, Connie. Hello, everyone, and the EICC board. Thank you all for attending our workshop today, and thanks to the Education Interclub Council for hosting us. My name is Efren Diaz. I use he, they pronouns, and a little bit about myself is that I'm currently working for Gear Up at CSUF, and I'm also a graduate student in CSU Fullerton's Master's in Education with emphasis in Higher Education program, also known as MSHE. And I also want to acknowledge that I am a guest on the land that I stand on, which is an occupied Yokut land.
And my name is Connie. My pronouns are she, hers, and a little bit about me as well. I currently work as the Student Equity and Success Specialist at Orange Coast College, which is a community college located in Costa Mesa, California. But I am also a graduate student at Cal State Fullerton's MSHE program alongside Efren, my cohort mate. And I am also standing on occupied Quiche Tongva land as well today. We also encourage you to find out what land whose land you're standing on at native-land.ca, and we'll put the link in the chat later. So we also wanted to start off the Zoom. It's about engaging virtual environments and strategies on how to construct and facilitate your own engaging virtual environments. So we want to talk the talk and walk the walk. So we're going to start off with a poll here today. I'm going to launch the poll right now. And hopefully everyone sees the poll. Give me a thumbs up. Perfect. All right. So it's going to ask you, are you a staff at or administrator at Cal State Fullerton? Are you a student? Are you a faculty member? Or are you a community member? Maybe you are not affiliated with Cal State Fullerton, but you happen to be a community member. As everyone's voting, I'll read off the next question. How comfortable are you with virtual facilitation and environments? Not at all. So I'm here to learn. Somewhat. So I'm ready to learn more. Very. But I'd still like to learn or even offer. I think the question got cut off. I'm not sure. Maybe you see it. Offer my own thoughts. So please engage with us in the chat today if you have any feedback or your own ideas on how to create virtual environments. And then the last question, we thought we'd put in a fun one. Office versus parks or recreation. Or maybe you don't even know what those are. If so, you can choose what are these shows. I've never watched them. So it looks like the votes are coming in. I'll wait maybe just 10 more seconds. Most of y'all have already voted. All right, last 15 seconds to get your vote in. And yes, as Efren said, your vote for number 3 will determine the status of our friendship. All right, I'll give 5 seconds for the last person to vote. And then I will close the poll and I'll show you all of our results. So it looks like today the majority of our participants are students at Cal State Fullerton, which is really exciting. I know EICC is comprised of a lot of students from the College of Education. So a lot of us here are current or future educators. So we think that the practices that we're going to talk about today, while we're focusing on the virtual, we know that one day we're going to be back in person. So we hope that the practices we share today will be applicable for when you are an educator in person as well. We have a few staff and faculty members and also some community members. So that's kind of cool. People who may not go to Cal State Fullerton or affiliated. How comfortable? It looks like most of us are in the midpoint, somewhat comfortable. There's a few folks who are feeling very comfortable. Please do share your thoughts in the chat. And also, it looks like this is a team office group, which is really sad because I'm more of a Parks and Rec person. Efren's more the team office. Awesome. Thank you so much for engaging with us. It's really good to know who's in the room as we kick off today. So here are our learning outcomes for today. Our learning outcomes is that we're hoping that at the end of the session, participants will understand the importance of creating virtual environments with care and intentionality. Number two, that participants will be able to walk away with examples of virtual activities to engage their audience. And also, as I mentioned, even though we're focusing on the virtual today, because that's the situation we're in, we also know that we will one day be back on our campuses. And so we're hoping that these activities that we talk about, with a little bit of creativity and flexibility, you can adapt them to an in-person environment as well. And then lastly, we hope that participants will be able to create and facilitate their own engaging virtual environments based on some best practices and a framework that Efren and I will share today. I'm going to pass it off to Efren to talk about our agenda for tonight.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Connie, and thank you for facilitating that Zoom poll. As you all know, I am also a team office person. Love the office. Been watching since I was a kid. But yes, sorry everyone. Here is our agenda for today. We just did our introductions and we just did our Zoom poll icebreaker. We went over our learning outcomes for this session, and we will now do our community agreements, then why attend a session on virtual engagement strategies, following up with low stakes to high stakes framework and examples, going over best practices, and concluding with our conclusion and Q&A. And at any point you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat box. I'm pretty sure one of us or so some of the facilitators can help us answer those questions. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Efren. So as EICC already started off with some ground rules around asking everybody to mute themselves just to eliminate background noise, and that this session will be recorded. So thank you for that. We wanted to add a few additional community agreements for today. So as a group today, as we're here, I'm going to ask that everybody agrees to a one mic policy, which means that one person speaks at a time, which probably includes muting yourself if you don't intend to speak. And not speaking over others. We're going to ask people to take space and also make space. That means if you have something to say and something to share, we did have a few people who felt somewhat very comfortable facilitating. We definitely encourage you to take up space and add feedback or add comments, or let us know how different activities maybe you've done in your own time as educators or as facilitators. But also to be mindful that there's a lot of people in this Zoom today. I see 22 participants. So to be mindful that other people get to speak and share as well. Thirdly, we ask everybody to agree to respect each other's voices, to be aware of our impact on ourselves and also on others, and also to trust the process. This is a strange environment to be talking about engaging virtual environments. So we know it's a little weird, but we ask that you kind of trust us and just kind of go along with us and just also engage with us. The whole purpose of this Zoom today is to talk about how to create engaging virtual environments. So it would be really helpful if you also engaged with our activities. We have a lot of examples of them that we're going to try out for you as well. So please do try to engage with us if possible, and if you have the capacity to do so. And then I just want to emphasize that for the sake of time, we're just going over these really quickly, but when you are facilitating your own environments, we always encourage you to create your own agreements that make sense for yourself and your group, and also to always ask your audience for feedback and get consensus that these agreements are agreed upon the whole group. So today, for sake of time, we're just zooming through them, but For when you're doing it in live yourself, please do take that into consideration.
All right, thank you so much, Connie. All right, and to provide some context on how this workshop came to be, the MSHE program does an annual 3-day retreat for its cohort members to get to know each other, build trust, and community. But this year, due to COVID-19, we had our 3-day retreat done virtually for 5 hours. One of our professors sent an email asking if anybody wanted to help create online icebreakers and activities for our cohort. Connie and I gladly volunteered. We met before our retreat and we brainstormed online icebreakers that we had experienced in our work and classes and adjusted them for our retreat. And during our retreat, Connie and I took turns facilitating the icebreakers and monitoring the chat box. Our cohort members loved the mix of games, memes, and activities we implemented to create an engaging environment and retreat. After the retreat, our professor, Dr. Lundberg, loved our icebreakers so much and was impressed with the level of online engagement they allowed that she encouraged us to apply to ACPA and NASPA conferences to present our thoughts, process, in creating and facilitating our workshops. And we just got done recording for our ACPA conference, and if any cohort members or anyone in this room will be there, definitely check us out in that session. So with the help of Dr. Lundberg, Connie and I are now here with you, presenting the various levels of engagement via an online environment.
Awesome. Thank you, Efren, for a little bit of context on how it came about this presentation to even begin with. It really did start with, we weren't intending to create this presentation when we started out. We started out just because a faculty member asked us to facilitate some online engagements, and it just kind of organically came to this. So we're really excited to now present to you some of the logic and some of the thinking that went behind how we created those icebreakers in real life and facilitated them. So we all understand that engagement and connection is really important for educators and for our students and for all of us, really. But why is it so important? The literature and the research shows that engagement, involvement, a sense of validation, and a sense of belonging are really important to students' success, particularly for our most minoritized and marginalized and underserved populations of students. So in an environment like this where engagement and connection and validation and belonging is really hard to convey over Zoom, it's more important than ever that we put a lot of thought and intentionality into how we're creating our environments that are in virtual environments to really lead to student success and all the good things that lead to it. So to kind of give you an idea of how Efren and I approached creating engaging virtual environments, we have in the screen here what we call the low stakes to high stakes framework. We coined that. So don't go looking it up on Google, it doesn't exist. So as you can see here, there is a pyramid with 5 levels with a star on top. And we'll go over right now really briefly each level. And then as we go through this presentation, we'll go into each level a little bit deeper and actually give you some examples of what this might look like in real life. So at the very bottom of the pyramid, you have the low stakes, which are low stakes activities. We'll go into a little bit more about what that exactly means, but it really sets the foundation and the tone for any virtual environment or in-person environment too that you'll be facilitating as an educator. Then you go into mid-stakes, and mid-stakes activities build upon low-stakes activities to get a little bit deeper and a little bit more complicated, complex conversations. Then we go into high stakes activities, which are activities that facilitate the deepest kind of conversations that really get us to think about ourselves, about others, about our world and society. And these are the conversations that are the deepest and gets us to things like a sense of engagement and a sense of connection with our fellow peers, faculty members, our participants, our colleagues. These lead to things like sense of validation and sense of belonging, which ultimately leads to the nice little star on top, which is student success. As educators, that's ultimately what we want, right? We want our students to be successful. And these are the kind